Do you plan on moving to Alaska? As someone who has done this journey multiple times, even within the past couple of years, I can tell you that this is probably the most challenging part about moving to Alaska. This requires a lot of logistics and just understanding what to do moving forward to make sure that you can get from point A to point B, which hopefully is going to be Alaska. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the top 3 ways that people move to Alaska, because this is the most remote state that you're going to find. We're going to get to more on that in just a couple minutes. Before we get started, make sure that you do give this video a like and make sure that you subscribe to my channel to receive more information about Alaska, how to get here, what to do when you're here, what's the real estate market look like, what are some do's and don'ts if you're looking to transition up here. And I'll make sure that you stay updated on everything that is pertinent to you as far as that goes. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the top 3 ways that people use to get up here to Alaska. So the top 3 is going to be number 1, driving the Alcan Highway. Number 2, taking the ferry system up from Washington and then just taking the ferry up to Alaska. And number 3 is to just take a plane. There's going to be some pros and cons with each one of these. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the Alcan Highway. We'll go through the pros and cons and let you make your decision from there. So number 1 with the Alcan, the really nice thing about it is beautiful. Most of your driving is actually going to be through Canada, and it does a really good job on kind of just getting you prepared for Alaska. There's majestic mountains all over the place, depending on the time of year. There's green and flowers everywhere on the side of the road. And I mean, it's just awesome. You really couldn't ask for a better drive. So that's really nice. And there's kind of a solitary beauty to it as well. That really is an appeal and a draw for the Alcan Highway as well. Additionally, Alcan Highway, there we go, is typically going to be cheaper. Okay, so that's good. If you're on a budget, Alcan Highway, just driving up here is probably going to be a pretty good option. Now let's talk about some of the cons of driving the Alcan Highway. Number 1, you are most definitely going to blow a tire when you're driving the Alcan. The reason for that is that the roads, while they're maintained, they're not going to be like you're driving down Main Street kind of maintained, okay? These are very remote kind of roads, and while a decent amount of traffic does go through them, it's a long road, and it's going to be going over some kind of rough terrain from time to time. So for that reason, the roads sometimes can be kind of take a big toll on your tires. Every time I've driven the Alcan, or my family's driven the Alcan, one of our tires busted and blew, at least one. You know, tip, if you need to drive the Alcan, there's no way to get around it. What I would say is make sure that you have not 1, but you have 2 spare tires just ready to go, because just assume one of them's going to bust. That's almost a given. It doesn't matter if it's brand new or not, it's probably going to bust. And they have, like I said, roads kind of rough. Some places, I can't remember how long it was, but it felt like just 20 miles of just straight bunny hills, up and down, up and down, up and down. So that's one con for the Alcan Highway. Secondly, another big con for the Alcan Highway is, while it's awesome being in Canada, the people there are very nice, you are going to have to go through customs as you're getting into the country. So if you have firearms or anything like that would trigger any red flags as you're going into another country, just prepare to deal with that stuff. If you do have firearms, make sure that you have all your proper paperwork and documentation ready to go, because if you don't, and it just kind of looks like you're kind of caught flat-footed, that's just going to raise a big red flag for them, and they're probably going to be over you a whole lot more than if you just had your stuff ready to go. So make sure you've got all your stuff ready to go. If you have any kind of firearms, that's a big one. Thirdly, I don't know which one it is. Our third con is going to be that when you are driving through the Alcan Highway, keep in mind there's a lot of wilderness out there. When I drove up most recently, there actually were a number of forest fires that were there, and we had to take, I think it was about a good half day worth of rerouting to get around all the forest fires. So that's definitely something to keep in mind as we have kind of a dry summer, past summer, and realistically it looks like this summer is going to be pretty dry as well. That's something to be cognizant of. Okay, so that's the Alcan Highway. Definite cons, definite pros though. So it's got a lot of good stuff going for it. The second way to get here is going to be through the ferry system. And a lot of people don't really think about it, but the ferry system is actually pretty nice. It's going to be a little more expensive than if you were going to just be driving up the Alcan, but what you pay for is pretty nice though, because you can pay for a little bit more and get some kind of a cabin where you can go in there, and typically it's going to be 3 days from going from Seattle or northern Washington, and you just go up the southeast Alaska and kind of go through all the inlets there to get up to a dropping off point where you can get your vehicle and then just drive the rest of the way to wherever it is that you're going. It's pretty nice, like I said, because you do get a cabin and you spend most of your time just kind of taking in the views and enjoying the kind of quiet southeastern Alaskan communities that you're going to be going through. So that's really nice. And the nice thing about it also is you are technically going to be traveling 24/7. So even when you're sleeping, you're making progress. You're going to spend most of your time playing cards or doing whatever it is you do in your downtime or reading. So that's great. Kind of the cons for the ferry system, obviously it's going to be a little bit more expensive. And another thing, if you are really prone to getting seasick, expect to be a little seasick at least a couple times. And you're not going to be really going to the open seas at any point. There's going to be a couple stretches where you're not going to be like in the inlet necessarily, or you're going to be right there going up through the hugging the coastline. There's going to be a couple stretches where you're more or less going to be out to sea, and it can get a little choppy. So just be aware of that. As a bonus pro for the ferry system, you actually have a really good chance of seeing lots of killer whales while you're out there. First time I came up, no joke, we were going along, it was within about the first hour, and we had like a pod of about 50 killer whales just swimming right past us, and they were jumping up and having a fun time out there. So it was really awesome to see. So yeah, definitely check that as a pro for the ferry system. So far, between the Alcan Highway or the ferry system, which one would you say that you are more likely to enjoy or take advantage of? Make sure you comment that down below. Now, the third option for getting to Alaska is going to be just doing the good old-fashioned jump on a plane, get your stuff on the plane, and get up here. For some people, this might not be very realistic though, because it can sometimes be a little expensive if you're talking about getting a large quantity of stuff on a plane and flying it up to Alaska. One of the times I came up here, I was lucky. I was at a time in my life where I could actually condense down all of my earthly belongings to 2 checked bags and carry-on. So that, obviously, good option for me. Some people are just not going to be in a place in their life to where they can realistically do that though. So what I would say is it's going to be the best option for you if you can afford, or if money is kind of an issue and you can condense down your earthly belongings and you don't want to have to go up the Alcan, and you don't want to have to take the ferry system either. If you want to just get to Alaska, quick, clean, you're not looking for any kind of adventure or experience along the way, the plane's a good option. So these have been the top 3 ways that people get to Alaska. And if you have any questions or concerns about how to use any one of these, make sure that you post any of your questions down below so that I can answer them for you. Keep in mind, these are going to be the mainstream, that's funny even to hear, but the mainstream Alaskan towns, that's going to be how you're going to get here. If you're going somewhere really remote, then it's going to be a completely different discussion. So make sure you post any questions down below, and I'll be happy to answer anything for you to the best of my ability. Thank you for watching. This has been the top 3 ways to get to Alaska. If this has been useful for you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and also make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you can receive more information like this that's going to be useful for you as you're looking to potentially move up here, or even if you're just curious.